Hi everyone, welcome back. I know right now there is a lot of craziness going on and we wanted to provide you with some normalcy and give you another bullet journaling video. I know a lot of you are stuck at home right now and trying to find ways to keep yourselves busy, and bullet journaling is a great way to do that. So if you want to follow along, we'll show you how we did our spread for April. All right, everyone, so jumping right in, I wanted to keep this month's spread really happy and more fun, kind of. I know all of us have a lot more time on our hands now with what's going on, staying indoors and trying to social distance, or if you are even just all the way quarantined and you can't leave at all, I'm sure you found lots of ways to keep yourself busy and hopefully to get a little bit more creative. So this month I wanted to kind of do a little bit more of an intricate spread. So the theme I'm doing for April is cherry blossoms. I know that April, in a lot of places, especially in Utah here, it's cherry blossom season in April, and it's one of my favorite things. And they're just really pretty, and it made me really happy. When I saw all the examples online of the cherry blossom doodles and all that. So I wanted to kind of stick with that. So I just did that on the right, and that did take a long time to trace and space out and draw, but you can make it as simple or complex as you want. And I just did 4 or 5 different types of little flowers depending on what looked best in the spot. And then I'm doing my quote page here on the left. This quote is actually, I think, from Mulan, and I've always loved it. My dad has always said it to us as we were growing up, and I felt like it was really fitting, both for the spread that we're doing this month and for what's going on. So I really felt like that would be perfect to add, and that's also part of why I decided to do this spread. I was thinking about the quote and I thought that cherry blossoms would be perfect to fit that. So I'm doing a little branch just for a little bit of accent on that, and then I'm going in after the ink is dried, and I'm just using the lightest shade of pink that I have to color all of these cherry blossoms in. I could have done some green leaves or brown for the branches, but I just wanted the only colors in this month to just be different shades of pink. I felt like that would be a really fun little contrast to what I normally do, because I usually do a lot of like greenery and things like that. So I always end up using a lot of different colors, especially green, and I wanted to switch it up a little bit this month. And I feel like that kind of just makes the pink stick out even more, kind of just helps to make it look even more like it's a cherry blossom. So I've just colored all of that in, even the little petals I've got falling, and then I'm doing the same thing here on the left with my smaller branch. And it did make my ink smudge a bit on some of the smaller flowers, but I felt like that was okay because it ends up looking like there's more variety anyway, and it doesn't just look like all one shade of pink. So that was kind of good anyway. And then I'm just going through with my next darkest shade from the shade I just used, just to give a little outline on that quote. Here on the left side of the page, I'm doing my monthly spread, and I definitely messed up these days of the month. You'll see on 2 of the weeks I did 8 days in a week instead of 7. Don't know how that happened, but it ended up kind of fitting the shape of the drawing and the page better. So it's kind of just mostly for looks. It's not really very usable as a monthly spread, but that's okay. I'm doing some larger cherry blossoms on this page, so I'm doing 3 or 4 larger flowers and then doing some branches and leaves and buds coming out from the sides. And I did trace all of this before. Tracing is usually what takes me the longest. So this one, since it was pretty intricate, did still take me a while to go over and trace with my Micron pen once I actually wanted to get it down on ink on the paper. But especially because there are so many different types of flowers and the spacing can be so different for each of these pages, and it's a little bit different from what I normally do, I wanted to kind of make sure that it would fit really nicely and look really clean, even though it was still intricate. So if you're kind of nervous about things looking proportionate, or if you don't know whether you want to commit to a certain drawing or whatever, I would really, really suggest tracing things out before. And it's super helpful especially if you tend to mess up the first time. Sometimes even after tracing, I will still mess up while I'm using the pen the second time around. So here on my right side, I'm doing my weekly spread. I'm just doing dotted boxes instead of line boxes for this month instead of what I normally do. I'm putting little boxes on the top and the bottom for the day of the week and then the date of the month. So I'm actually starting on Wednesday because this year, April starts on a Wednesday. The 1st is on a Wednesday. So I will be going Wednesday through Tuesday instead of Sunday through Saturday, or however you normally do it, but you can choose to do it however works best for you. And then I'm putting an accurate little calendar view here on the left because the one on the left page was a little bit messed up. And I'm adding a little bit of floral accent mark right there. I'm just highlighting the flowers here on the left, and I'm gonna keep the branches and the leaves all black and white just to kind of keep with the same look. And then I thought it would be fun to add a different shade of pink since I've been using the same one this whole time. I've just been using the lightest one, so I used one of my darker, more fuchsia colored pinks, and I'm going to be adding that for the little buds in the middle, and I just blended that out a bit. And then I used it on the inside of the lettering as well. And I went back to the lightest shade of pink for the right side. I feel like if you're gonna highlight things like the days of the week or dates, I always try to use the lightest color possible because I don't want it to be difficult to read or anything like that. So that's always helpful. And then for the miscellaneous page that I wanted to do this month in my collection, I thought that it would be really nice to do a gratitude tracker. I know there are a lot of really difficult things happening right now and there's a lot of uncertainty, but I always feel like if I focus on gratitude and try to journal and list out the things that I'm thankful for, it really puts things into perspective because I know there's always somebody who has it worse than I do somewhere, and things could always be worse. So I really wanted to focus on that this month. I'm just doing a little box without outlining the edges around my word. Again, this was something that was really helpful in terms of lining things out because I probably wouldn't have been able to get this to look the same way had I not traced it with pencil before. And every time I do trace, I erase it afterward. You will probably be able to see tiny little pencil marks somewhere on these pages, but that really helps to give a cleaner look at the end of when I'm done with the journal spreads. So I'm giving 2 little rows down here so I can write something I'm thankful for every day of the month, just the 1st through the 30th. And then I'm going through to color in all of these flowers. And I did have a little mess up to the right side of the E. I wanted to just color inside of the flowers and not get inside of the box, but I was able to fix it with a couple petals, which was really nice because I was able to still have the look that I wanted. And then I added a bit on the left as well to match that. And that was really it for that page. I'm just really excited to fill that out and be able to look through it throughout the month. And then lastly, I'm doing my mood tracker here on the right. I wanted to do falling petals for this one. And I just did a larger doodle with a couple different buds and then 1 or 2 blossomed flowers. And then I just went in and kind of loosely colored in the branches, or the stems, sorry. And then I counted out 30 of the little petal shapes. It was hard to make sure that they didn't look like shells or leaves and looked enough like petals, but hopefully they will look enough like petals once I color them in because they'll be pink. So I just went in and numbered all of those and kind of made sure that they were all spaced out correctly. And then I went through after it was dried and I used some darker colors and then left the outsides of the flowers white so I could blend that out, and I really liked the way this ended up looking. I do have just a water pen that is good for blending, and it is a Tombow dual brush pen, which I really love. Alright, so going through my flip through, I did have a little bit of bleeding here on the right page with my title page in the L of the word April, but that is okay. There was already a log pink on the page anyway, and it was kind of a more intricate design anyway, which I really loved. I don't get to do that very often, but I liked being able to tie it into every one of the pages and spend a little bit more time on the actual art rather than just the layout of the pages. And then on the next two pages, I've got my monthly spread and my weekly spread. Here on the left, I have larger versions of those cherry blossoms, and I added some buds and some leaves and things like that. And I did mess up quite a bit on the monthly spread. I added 8 days of the week instead of 7, so I spaced that wrong, but that's okay. It's mostly just for show. And I have the correct spacing here on the right with my weekly spread, as well as these little dotted boxes for each day of the week. And then on the next pages here, I have my gratitude tracker that I'll have for each day. I just have the 1st through the 30th numbered out. And then here on the right, I have my mood tracker. I used some blending markers to do some white and pink flowers this time. My key here up on the right, and then I have my falling petals down to the bottom. And that is pretty much it for this month. Thank you guys so much for watching. We really appreciate it. We hope you're all staying healthy and safe. We hope this provided you with some ideas of how you can fill your days so that you're not bored all day while you're stuck at home, and you can find some things to do to keep yourself busy. We hope you're all staying healthy and safe, and we will see you next month.